A powerful winter storm will impact the East Coast this weekend. Plus, we've got two snowstorms heading into next week. Then a very strong Arctic blast will start to build up in Canada. And by the time we head into the next weekend, that Arctic air will encompass a good part of the western and central US. So I appreciate all my subscribers out there. This channel is up to 222,000 subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. I do daily updates on this channel. In fact, I've done about 27 videos a month on average. So if you'd like to follow along throughout the 2024 year, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and follow all my daily content. So let's really start to delve into this, because let's go back and look at where the snow has fallen over the last 72 hours, because we've been talking about these snowstorms. We're finally getting some heavy snows starting to impact the Sierras, and I think that's just going to be rebuilding over the course of the next couple of weeks. That snow will be diving southbound, and then yesterday, out here in some of these resorts into New Mexico, Angel Fire got blasted with heavy snow, really all day long. And then to the overnight hours into the Texas Panhandle, Dalhart picked up 5 inches of snow, and now that snow is continuing to fly and move off into the western Oklahoma region and back into portions of Kansas. In fact, they're shifting the winter weather advisories to a good part of Kansas and even portions of Arkansas. The snow is flying. Even the snow had big, huge flakes last night into the Tulsa, Oklahoma region. And some of these schools have actually closed down into the Arkansas area. But there's our powerful winter storm that will be draped across the East Coast this weekend, leaving a swath of ice and then some very heavy snow up into Pennsylvania and up here into the Northeast. But right now, they've actually upped the ante on some of this heavy snow that's taking place over Kansas. In fact, some of these areas could pick up over an inch an hour heading into this afternoon, as that swath of snow will be slowly moving across. So you're going to be picking up some healthy totals, but by the time all this is said and done across the Kansas region. But once we get into tomorrow, and it starts tonight, and then going into tomorrow, we've got our powerful winter storm up here into the Northeast. Heavy snow is going to be impacting a good part of the interior mid-Atlantic region, back into New England, heading into Saturday afternoon through that Sunday time frame. So we're looking at anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow across these areas that are highlighted in red here. And then it all starts as ice further south, as that low pressure will be swinging upwards. So we could be looking at up to a 1/4 inch of ice across this region, anywhere from a trace to a 1/4 inch. But yes, a lot of these areas into Pennsylvania will still get 4 to 8 inches of snow with this particular storm, as it starts tonight and then goes through Saturday and starts to wind down on your Sunday time frame. But there's the swath of snow. So all that area that is highlighted in pink easily could see 6 to 10 inches of snow. Yes, not out of the question. You could get some foot totals within this region. Even the Boston area is trying to compress about 10 inches of snow. They're probably going to end up more likely 8 or 9 inches. But along these regions into New York City, probably an inch or two from that system. And then further south, Philly, DC, Baltimore, again, you're going to be right on that borderline, whether you're going to get some snow or not. If you do get some, it's probably not going to amount for much, but most of that snow will be in the interior regions of the mid-Atlantic. But nonetheless, that is some of these areas the biggest snowfall they've seen in a couple of years, because it really hasn't snowed that much in the Northeast. But we do have a powerful storm that's going to be starting to take shape coming up on Monday. So we got another system that's just now coming in off the Aleutian Islands, will be really diving and digging and really amplifying. And the further south it digs, we've got to be concerned, because we're going to have some rapidly warmed conditions. It could actually approach 90 degrees down here in portions of South Texas into Monday afternoon, as this strong bowling ball type trough really starts to dig and take shape. So a lot of elements are going to come together. We could have more snow in the Texas Panhandle, a chillier rain across East Texas, and then South Texas could pick up severe storms. And this could be an evening threat. And we're looking at all 3 modes of severe storms. And yes, in fact, that does include tornadoes. They actually had a tornado warning further south into the Angleton region this morning, and we're going to be seeing likely a lot more of that during the evening time frame on Monday. So I think it originates back here towards the Victoria region. It does include all the Houston Metroplex, into the Beaumont-Port Arthur region, into Lake Charles, and into the Louisiana region, into New Orleans, as well as into Mobile. And that'll eventually swing over into the Florida Panhandle into Monday night. And then so as we extend into that Tuesday time frame, now we're encompassing a good part of Florida all the way down to Sarasota, to Orlando, back into Gainesville, up into Tennessee. And that will be coming up the eastern seaboard, impacting areas into Savannah, back into Columbia, and eventually head up into North Carolina, into the Raleigh region, just off the coast here. So all these areas could see those strong to severe thunderstorms. And in fact, some of those could be tornadic development during that daytime frame of Tuesday. But that's the warm sector. So you're going to have a warm sector to this storm, but you're also going to have a cold sector as we're starting to see some of that colder air finally start to intrude in from Canada. And now we've got some more snow where you got the last night picked up 5 inches in Dalhart. Yeah, you're going to add on top of that during the day on Monday, heading into Monday night. Snow is going to be heavy across the Texas Panhandle again, into western Oklahoma, and there's Kansas again, gets blanketed with heavy snow. But this time, that will continue lifting into the Missouri region as this continues to lift up. And so by the time we head into that Tuesday, January the 9th time frame, now that snow will start to encompass more of Oklahoma. So instead of just Tulsa picking up some snow, now we're talking Oklahoma City will finally start getting to the action and seeing those big fluffy snowflakes fly out of the sky. And then that heavy snow will have a convective banding to it, will start to really unload on the portions of Illinois, back into Indiana, and then pieces of Ohio here, as this low pressure center will continue to deepen and intensify. So we could be looking for blizzard-like conditions by the time we get into that Tuesday night time frame across Indiana. Even portions of Chicago could be under some blizzard type conditions across this region through Indiana, and eventually that will swing up on the backside into Ohio. But what I'm concerned about with this second storm is this powerful storm, a lot of water vapor that's going to be pulled in from the deep tropics, and all that snow that's going to unload on the Northeast, like back into Connecticut and those areas that just been completely saturated. Now you're pounding another couple of inches of rain on top of that. Look at this extreme water content pulling all the way down here from the Caribbean, folks. That is a steady stream of moisture. So imagine the ground is already saturated. I mean, Hartford's picked up, 17 inches above average for the entire year last year. So the last thing you need is any more precipitation. So you're going to get 8 to 12 inches of snow. And then this second system, like 3 days later, is going to compound and dump another 2 to 5 inches of rain. So you got the combination of all that snow melting on top of that 2 to 5 inch rainfall. That's going to be a devastating flood up there. And I'm definitely concerned about that element of the puzzle with this piece, because we've got a warm surge of surging from the East Coast while we've got that cold sector on the northwest side of that storm, as that low will continue to rapidly deepen up here towards into the Great Lakes. So look at some of these rain amounts. This is that second storm that will be coming in on top of what you're seeing already with this first storm. So you got a lot of rain going to be impacting a good part of the Southeast, and this will race up the Carolinas and into the eastern seaboard. And yes, all these areas that were under that 8 to 12 inches of snow you're likely going to get on Saturday and Sunday. This is the rain that's going to come in on Tuesday and Wednesday timeframe of next week, melting all that snow and then compounding the flood threat that's going to be inundating the eastern seaboard. And then on top of that, we've got very high winds because this blizzard type, low pressure is going to continue to rapidly deepen. And then you got the colder air on the backside of this system wrapping around. So yes, it could even sneak as far south as maybe even Kentucky, back into Ohio, and eventually heading into West Virginia and get probably the left, the Pittsburgh area. So that first storm is going to be mainly, the most snow is going to be on the eastern side. Then the second storm, the most snow is going to be on the western side of Pennsylvania with that second piece of energy. But compounding all of that is just all the higher wind gust they're going to be associated with this powerful low pressure center. So these are some estimated wind gusts as that low will be traversing across, over that 24 to 48 hour time span of a good 30, 40, if not upwards to 50. You start getting closer to the coast here. Yeah, 40, 50, upwards to almost 60 mile per hour gust with this system. And it even gets more intense as you race up the eastern seaboard. So you got all the snow that's got to melt, and then you got all the compounding rain, and then the wind. It's just a nasty combination, and you could be having a lot of flood issues up there, and with the wind creating all the power issues up there as well into Tuesday and Wednesday. So those are the higher impact days up into the Northeast. You see some of these gusts, especially along the coast here, approaching 60 upwards to even almost 70 mile per hour wind gusts with this powerful low pressure center that will be inundating the Northeast and New England by the time we head into that Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. But we're not done, folks. This El Nino is locked and loaded, and we've got yet another system be traversing across the interior regions. But this time we do have Arctic air that's going to be starting to plunge southbound. So by then it's going to be tapping into this source. We've got more heavy snow that's going to be inundating these areas back into New Mexico again, back into Colorado. That's going to lay down the groundwork. So it's a foundation to allow this colder air to pull further south. So what's going to happen next week, by the time we go into next weekend with that new snowpack that's going to be on the ground within this region, that Arctic air is going to be allowed to go over that and help push with the upper level winds from the north, help push that Arctic air further south, and it would be less moderated by then because you've got that colder surface on the ground there. So this is that second storm system for the snowstorm heading into next week. So we got the first one on that 9th, 10th, and 11th time frame. Then we have yet another one that's going to be swinging across, impacting the Oklahoma City region again, going into a lot of these same areas across the Ohio Valley, up here in the Great Lakes and northern portions of New England. And then we got that other piece of energy that's diving in from the Intermountain West that will lay down some blankets of heavy snows across Arizona, into New Mexico, back into Colorado. And all this is going to lay the groundwork for that extremely cold air that will start to build up there in Western Canada at the beginning of the week. And that will eventually start to plunge southbound. So by the time we head into next weekend, beginning next weekend, we're on the 12th time frame, we've got a good surge of Arctic air that's going to be impacting a good part of the central US. And then once they fill that snowpack and they've got those upper level winds, it will keep helping to push that Arctic air further south. Eventually, by the time we get into that 16th, 17th, and likely 18th time frame, that colder air will be allowed to sink all the way down to Mexico, and then it will start pushing east. So the East Coast gets the warmth, but eventually they get the Arctic air, but they're going to have to wait a while with this air mass, because right now, the way it looks, we've got these snowstorms that will impact the Northeast. We've got that second system that we'll be diving through, and then we have that third system. All the while, this Arctic air is starting to build up there in Canada. And then as the teleconnections start to drop, look at the blocking start to take place over Greenland, over Alaska, trapping that colder air. Once it gets trapped, that will allow the push, compounding with the snowpack that will likely be on the ground by then. And that's going to allow the coldest temperatures of the year so far to plunge a good part to the central and western 2/3 of the US. And by the time we head into next weekend, it should encompass a good part of Texas, and it'll eventually all swing all the way down into Mexico, and then eventually swing off into the East Coast by after that. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. I do like this video. Definitely hit the subscribe button and catch me next update where I protect you before and after the storm.